Welcome to Between Sets today. I'm so excited to be here and ready for a great episode with a buddy of mine, Terrell Lloyd. He is actually a fellow explorer of light with Canon, and looking forward to speaking with him today. So Terrell and I met maybe last year at Photo Plus in New York with Canon and really hit it off and had some great conversations. And so when doing this series, I knew I had to get Terrell on here. He is a big inspiration in what he does, and the passion he brings is incredible. So let's bring Terrell on into the room here and let's begin. It was a cool video we just got to see of Terrell there, and what a amazing story he's got there and passion. Hi, Terrell. Welcome.
Hey, Zach. Thanks a lot. How you doing? Thanks for that great intro.
No worries.
Starting out
In here.
Yeah.
This is epic. I mean, different times. It looks like you got a great home office you're in there, and
I got a few mementos behind me that I I've shared over the collected over the years, and my time with the 49ers, and having it here in my office as my background. It's kind of epic, just for people to see and view, and
right.
And for me to have.
Absolutely. I mean, give us a little bit of a background on your start in just photography. We saw the professional bowling career, which is epic. I mean, damn, that was quite some form on the bowling there. And give us a little more background on like your photography, because this is something you've been with the 49ers, you're telling me, for 24 seasons. That's insane.
Yeah, it's funny because people on my stories, it goes way back to even when I grew up as a little boy in San Francisco, and when I used to have a paper route back in the day when papers were a thing, right? And I used to go to games when I was a little kid at Kezar, and always had a love for football, and so I would cut out pictures from the newspapers after Sunday's game on Mondays. And I would really make my own photo books.
Wow.
From 49ers, and having a love for pictures in the 49ers, but not knowing that I wanted to be a photographer.
Right.
And so, my mom always had a camera, and I would, pick up the camera as a kid, take a few pictures, and so on and so forth. And, like I said, I never thought I would, be a photographer. And then, at a young age, I started bowling, and I got to be pretty good at a young age. Right. And so, one of my dreams were to join the professional bowlers tour. Right. And I was able to accomplish that. Right. And so it wasn't as successful as I thought, but I got sick at a young age. At 19 years old, my lung collapsed out of the blue, had to have surgery, was in the hospital for, over a month. And, your dreams are almost starting to fade away because like, oh, am I going to be the same? And so on and so forth. So I still was able to go out on tour, but it was kind of like short-lived, right, from a professional standpoint. But I did bowl part-time professionally for about 13 years, but full-time for about 2.5, 3 years on tour. And so in school, I was taking, computer science classes, right? And everything circles back to where I'm at now, because I also had a love for photography, as I told you earlier, but I took photography class in high school as well. Right. And picked up a camera, and then, was on the yearbook committee, taking sports pictures and doing this, doing that. Right. And to make a long story short, it was interesting because, I became a season ticket holder, and while I'm working my corporate job and bowling part-time and, doing a lot of different things, it was like a friend of mine was getting married, and I picked the camera back up. And so I went out, did a wedding, didn't know what I was doing. It was like pictures came out pretty good. Then later I joined a professional photographers group here in the Bay Area, right? And so that group was serious, and they were taking weddings and portraits, and I was being mentored by another photographer in the Bay Area. And then, I was taking pictures from the stands, right? That's when you could take cameras in a game, and it was back during the film days, right? And I was 10 rows from the field, right? Wow. And one of the pictures, we're going to go over and show you that picture later on. We'll go with some photos. It was like, me and my son used to go to this hamburger place, one of his former players. And he said, "Oh, Terrell, you ought to get out on the field, take pictures. You ought to go on." Well, I don't work for a magazine. I don't, this and that, and so forth. He says, "Well, I know the PR director, right?" So the next year came, and he hooked me up with the PR director, and I got on the field.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
And that's when I got hooked. So I'm going from the stands, 10 rows away from the field, to on the field taking photos. And as you saw in the interview, it was like, man, it'd be great to get with the 49ers. And that was, I just put it out there, right? And in a short amount of time, to be honest, it was like I went from shooting on the field in 1994 to getting with the team indirectly in 1996.
Wow.
And
talk about dream to reality. I mean, that's insane. That was something, your dream, your goal, and to be able to achieve it in such a quick time. I mean, that's incredible. That's
exactly. And it's interesting too. And I tell photographers when I speak and so on and so forth, it's like, you could be the best photographer. You could, take the greatest pictures and so on, but people also have to be able to work with you. You got to have that personality. You got to have that persona, right?
Absolutely.
And a gentleman came up to me. He was doing like halftime shows, check presentation, cheerleaders performing, the Frisbee dogs, things that some of the other photographers didn't want to do. But he came up to me and says, "Hey, Terrell, how would you like to do what I'm doing?" He said, "I'm getting kind of old. My knees are getting kind of bad. I figured, and so come down to my office and I'll talk to you." So I go down to his office and I said, "Doug," he explained to me everything he was doing. I said, "Doug, why me? Why me out of all the people? I've only been out here a couple of years on a sofa." He says, "Terrell, you come in here with a smile on your face. You pleasant with people. You say hello to people. I figured you'd be good for the job." And he hadn't seen one picture I'd taken, but it was the personality.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, that goes across every industry as well. And you have to work with the athletes, the coaches, the trainers, the staff, the management, all of these different things. And so if you're someone that they're staying away from, attitude, anything like that, or just your work ethic, it just doesn't work. Your workflow, you want to be someone that's pleasant to travel with. And that goes across my industry as well. In surf, the surfers don't want to travel with you if you're grumpy all the time, or you don't get them the photos, or you don't want to try their concepts and things. With that, let's jump into a few of the photos, and we could keep talking story. I know we could probably just keep talking. Let's show some visuals.
Yeah. This one here, I know you wanted to talk about some of the photos, and and you had some questions on them, and then I was going to give you some stories and answers and take
it away though. I mean, it's to me, just seeing these moments that you're doing, it's thinking about it, it's like you don't have the break. You are on offense and defense the entire time, because that could be the pivotal moment in a game. And so it's not like you're going to take that break or doing. It's like as the action's going, that's a nonstop moments. I know that you shoot with, Terrell, crazy amount of gear. Tell everyone what you're shooting with, because it blew my mind. I was like, I shoot with 2 1DXs and Terrell then goes, nothing.
So it's interesting. I mean, as time went on, I started off with, 1 camera, 2 cameras. As I got better, 3 cameras. Then you go from 3, and people's like, say, when you go stop? Okay, I go to 4 cameras, right? And then today I shoot with 5 cameras on the field. And people say, how do you do it with 5 cameras?
With 1DX system.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so I have 2 assistants with me. If you look at it where I break it down, I have a 600 millimeter, 400 millimeter, a 300 millimeter, 70 to 200, 24 to 70. That's off my shoulder. 70 to 200, 24 to 70 off my shoulder. I got a think tank modular system around my waist with 1124 fisheye, 16 and 35. It's like people may say, why do you have all these lenses? What are you doing with all? Why do you have to have so much equipment to shoot a game? Well, if you look at it from what I do and my description from what I do with the 49ers, it's like I have to shoot for marketing, partnerships, sales, community relations, different entities before the game even starts, right? So just to give you one example, like say partnerships has sponsors, right? Yeah. And I got to get group pictures of the huddle. So I got to get like, a fisheye shot or 11 to 24 shot, right? Where it's a clean shot. Now this is all before the game starting. So I got to have it with me. So I'm creating stuff during pregame, when they come out for warm-ups, post game. So you got to be ready for anything to change lenses, have a Canon flash with me to do some flash photography on the field as well.
It's too long to change the lens. It's changed the camera at that point, right? Like you don't want to even waste that time. Like, where's my 1124? Where's my 7200? It's like camera, boom.
It's a system
ready to go, because obviously 2 different settings. I'm just going to click through as we kind of talk, because I know we could.
Let me comment on.
Oh yes.
Let's go back on this picture here, because people, if you see this one's downfield, I shot this one with a 400 millimeter, right? And if you look at it, I got the 400 millimeter at a certain distance where I may be in the end zone or on the side of the 10-yard line or whatever. But if the defense is like we're on defense, But if the offense is throwing a long, deep pass, then I could pan with my 400 and one of our DBs tipped the ball away and I'm able to get a downfield shot with the 400 millimeter there as well. So, yeah.
I mean, so tell me a little bit about your focus, because what my eye sees here is just incredible depth of field, a moment and a lot going on all around it. But your focus is tack sharp. Are you using like an AI servo? Are we using a single point? What are you doing for your dog?
I'm on AI servo as a single point. My single point is dead center in the viewfinder, right? So I'm following action as when I'm looking at it, wherever my point is, that's what. So my focus point is on 23 right here as he's moving downfield. So I'm panning once I get him locked in on it, and then I'm firing away, and the focus is just tack sharp from there.
Sure. I mean, I'm using the same method, AI servo with my action and serve, and single point. I want to have that control. I don't want some bit of water or surfer or some other thing kind of bouncing in there. I love this right down the line like that.
This one here is interesting because remember I told you all the lenses I have a 300 millimeter, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is I'm in the end zone when they're coming in the red zone about 20, 25 yard line, right? And say, for example, if they don't score a touchdown, now they got to go kick a field goal. Now, remember I told you I talk about marketing and partnerships and so on in our web, our banner page, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I will jump up, I will grab my 300 millimeters that's sitting in front of me. I run around the end zone, not on the field, but around the end zone in between photographers. At this point, I'm taking the eyepiece off, right? I'm dropping in an angle finder all at the same time while I'm running.
What?
Put the eyepiece in my mouth. I squeeze in between photographers on the field. I get down low to get an angle shot right here with the 300 millimeter. And then I pan over to where the kicker is, right? Get about 4 or 5 shots here. Pan over to where the kicker, and then I got the kicker kicking a field goal all in one shot.
Holy cow. Hey,
that's why you see that low angle there.
I love it. I mean, look at that, how it leads right into the focus right on that. And how do you pick your lens? I mean, over time and with experience, obviously, I mean, because, but having those moments, I mean, obviously as they come close, that's got to be a very difficult thing too, is making sure, because if the guy's running towards you, the receiver's coming and the ball's, you know what I mean? There's different points. I mean, not everything goes according, but with experience.
It's all anticipation. It's all like, it's kind of like knowing your team, working with the team, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of luck and guess and being with the right lens. Yeah. I mean, one time I was on with my 600. One time the action was all the way downfield and action normally comes towards me.
Yeah.
So I put a 1.4 converter on my 600, right?
Yeah.
So that put me at like 820, I think it was, something like that. Next thing I know, our quarterback threw a long pass and our receiver's coming downfield. I'm like, oh man. And so I'm panning, but now I'm so tight. It's like I caught the receiver, but I got him stretching out, catching the ball.
Yeah.
He was halfway chopped off. I mean, where, extended because it was 820. But then I'm like, man, why am I so tight? Yeah. And I said, I'm on my 600 with a 1.4 converter. That's what I'm saying.
That's, I mean, obviously those are going to happen and it's unpredictable. And that's what's the beauty also of like the game and everything that's going on. So I guess being prepared for the moments and just those experiences that you can kind of do and obtain.
Exactly. Now this picture here, I threw this one in here because this one goes back to the year 2000.
Okay.
Right. This is one of my early digital images. Wow. And I've been shooting digital since 1996, 97, when they came out. Canon and Kodak had a joint venture and they came out with this DCS 520 using a Canon body, Kodak back, right? 2 megapixels. This camera cost me $12,000.
Oh, geez.
$12,000.
2 megapixels.
2 megapixels. You get a better picture with your phone now. Maybe not the difference. But if you think about it back then, I was one of the, I want to say, leaders in digital somewhat, because I spent $12,000 on a 2 megapixel camera that really got me in the door with the 49ers. But this is one of the images that I shot on one of the 400 millimeter lenses with that 2 megapixel camera, and it was at like 200 ISO. I mean, and I didn't adjust the colors to pop them up. I didn't want to enhance it a lot, but it's a little flat. But if you look at it, but that's what I was getting in 99, 2000 with that camera though. But I was able to get instant images compared to everybody that was shooting film, and I was still shooting film in Chrome and then scanning stuff in, but I also was able to get out images in real time, like the next day.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Between Sets. Make sure to like and subscribe to be tuned in on all future episodes. Thank you.